Hmm.
Here we go.
All right. That looks great, Misty.
Welcome.
That's awesome. Misty, I like the effects.
All right. Yes. Welcome, everyone. We are so glad that you are joining us today for our fabulous event. My name is Misty Frazier. I am the Assistant Director for Internships at A&M San Antonio, and I will be your Tech MC for today. So feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. We hope this will be an interactive time. So let's launch actually even our first poll. So we can start getting some of this party started. Yay. So glad that y'all are here. So here is our first poll question. Now for today, we encourage you to have your cameras on, but please stay muted. You can ask questions in the chat or live during our Q&A times. Also feel free to invite a friend right now. I'm going to put the registration link in the chat also. So if you have any friends that want to just jump on real quickly with us, that would be great. All right, let's see how many we have in the poll so far. It's going well, so feel free to finish that up. We got about 38% has completed. So also today, we're not going to have any scheduled breaks during the event, so feel free to just come and go as you need to. And we have a really exciting agenda today. We have vice presidents and leaders from major RBFCU departments sharing their stories and insights. And we have current and former interns with us. And later, you will get a chance to learn how to be the competitive candidate for positions. Really, really exciting. Now I would like to introduce my co-host for today. So just give a quick wave to the camera. First, we have Mr. Bruce Howard from the South Texas Alliance for Career Champions and Texas State University. Thank you for working with us on this event today, Bruce. And our lead for the event, the man with the plan, the outstanding VP of Human Resources at RBFCU. It is my complete pleasure to introduce Mr. Glenn Earhalt. Thank you, Glenn, for your passion and purpose in making this event happen today. I will now let you take it away.
Misty, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And before the event started, we were reminiscing about how long we have been doing this over the last couple of years. On behalf of RBFC, we're grateful for your continued support and collaboration. And Mr. Howard, it's always a pleasure to work with you. We're grateful for all the students that have registered and the colleges that have helped out. But to officially welcome you to this presentation, it's my honor and privilege to introduce somebody I've worked with for about 12 years. I'm not here if it's not for her having that interview many years ago, but it's my honor and privilege to introduce the Senior Vice President of Human Resources, Ashley Engel. Ashley?
Thank you, Glenn. I am so excited to welcome everybody today. Whenever we entered into the pandemic last year, we wanted to still be able to reach out to students and still be able to explore those opportunities for connections and to help you to continue to grow, because we know that many people during the pandemic took it as an opportunity to go back to school and really focus back on their education. So I have the opportunity to welcome you all today to this program. Instead of having interns that are in-house, this is a way that we're reaching out and connecting and telling you more about the credit union and what we potentially have to offer as an employer, but also help you to grow as a candidate and a potential employee of the organizations that you will be applying for as you take your next steps into your career. I started with the credit union over 20 years ago. I came to Randolph Brooks whenever we were opening our 16th branch. And today, if you don't know anything about RBFCU, we have 60 branches that serve our members and almost 2,200 employees that help to do that as well. But in the course of my career, I had the opportunity through an internship to get into the human resources department. And that's why I feel really passionate about being able to help students and communicate the opportunities that could be available to you. Glenn?
Absolutely. Ashley, thank you so much for that. I also think it's important to introduce some of our other guests, and you'll be meeting them a little bit more in depth as we move on in the presentation. First, Travis Amescu, Vice President of Member Services. Also joining us is Diana Burns, Vice President of Mortgage Operations. Charles Byerly, the Senior Vice President of IT Technologies, or CIO. And then also we have Melissa Woodworth, who is our Vice President of Branch Operations in our Dallas region. And then also we have Jennifer Crawford, who is our Financial Literacy Senior Specialist, and two wonderful guests that we are excited they can join us as well. Chandler Miller, who was part of our internship team in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Time has just flown by. And then Josue Gonzalez, who is a current IT information security analyst with RBFCU. So again, thank you to the RBFCU team for joining us. Ashley, one of the things that you and I talk about a lot, especially over the last several years, is sort of how HR has had to change in this new virtual environment. Can you give us a little insight of how the HR team has changed to support the needs of all of our employees and also the community?
Absolutely. We had a little bit of exposure to helping people remotely before the pandemic because we have 60 branches that we support. And so we would do a lot over the phone, and that really helped to prepare us. But we were very fortunate at the beginning of the pandemic that our IT department, incredible IT department, not trying to get kudos from Charles, but they were amazing partners in being able to get employees deployed to go and to work from home. HR has been able to still continue to communicate with all of our employees, whether they're working remotely or on site throughout the pandemic through the use of Teams, so that we can make sure that everybody continues to have social distancing and still be able to serve them and get them the information that they need. We've gone to completely remote recruiting, which has been an interesting transformation for us. And again, I think that it's actually helped us because before, a candidate may have to take off an hour to commute to get to us, and then have an hour commute back if they were currently employed. And this way they can literally step out, do the interview in the time that is convenient for them, and then able to get back to the rest of their life that's going on. And so it's actually helped us. The other thing is that our learning and development department literally over the course of just a few weeks transformed all of our in-person instructor-led classes to virtual options. And so that gave us the ability to reach not only those that were in the San Antonio area, but also our branches and our departments that were in Corpus Christi, Austin, and then Dallas areas.
Fantastic. Well, one of the things that you brought up in your opening remarks is that you were an intern. But now as you look forward and you think about this new environment and students that are studying so many different degree plans, the environment has changed a little bit, if you will. We've seen some outcomes such as the ability to outreach and support colleges throughout Texas, but what are some of the recommendations you may have for college students who are now seeking these exciting employment opportunities throughout Texas and maybe even with RBFCU?
I would definitely recommend to go through and look at your resume and your applications that you're submitting to the organizations. Make sure to highlight the skills that you have and that you bring to the company. Tailor it to match what is being asked for on the application, because I think that sometimes we have to put those pieces together for the person who's reviewing the application. They're seeing hundreds, sometimes thousands of applications for particular positions, and you want to stand out, not because there's error on your resumes or because there's misspellings, but because you have attention to detail and you've answered the call for whatever position is being posted.
Absolutely. I know you and I have had many conversations over the last 12 years about what has stood out for us and some of the additional steps some of our applicants have taken. Well, any thoughts about a cover letter? What do you think? Is that something that could, maybe take you over the top when you're applying for a position?
Absolutely. I think with the cover letter, it helps us to really understand what it is that you want to do and how, or maybe the reasons that brought you to the credit union or to the employer that you're applying to. And because your resume and the job application, it primarily tells us how your qualifications meet the requirements for a particular position. But that cover letter, like you said, just takes it to that next level because it helps to really connect those pieces and make sure that we know how excited you are about potentially coming to work for the credit union.
Yeah, and before we move on, one last comment. One of the things that I know that Ashley has worked very hard over her career is, many times if you're in human resources and you're in a room, it's like it's human resources, maybe the volume goes down a little bit. I know one of the things I'm always very proud of as somebody that's part of the RBFCU HR team is that we look for ways to connect with our employees. We want them to reach out and ask about the benefits they have, something that we'll talk about a little bit later. So Ashley, thank you as always for your wonderful comments. We appreciate you taking the time to meet with us and opening this event up. And sharing just a little bit more about the RBFCU culture. We appreciate your participation. I hope you have a great day. And I have the feeling Bruce may ask you a couple questions later about the culture of RBFCU. And if with that, we're going to move on to our next segment. It's my privilege again. We've got another poll question. So please take a look at the poll question. When considering employment, what is most important for you? Culture, commitment to community, compensation, benefits, opportunities for growth, location, remote opportunities.
All right, we got lots of things coming in for this. Everyone feel free to include it, even RBFCU. We'll give it a couple more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right. Very cool. Look at that.
Very close. Perfect. Thank you. Culture, critical. Opportunities for growth, critical. And we definitely will talk about both of those as we move forward. Thank you, Misty. Next, I'd like to welcome and introduce, I know he's done a little bit of that himself, a partner, somebody that I've collaborated with for many, many years. The story is he sort of got me involved in HR many years ago, but he is always somebody that is in the community at colleges, universities, supporting the career initiatives and growth of students and veterans that are transitioning out of the military. So, Mr. Howard, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Glenn, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. Great to be with all my friends and colleagues at RBFCU. Students and those of you that are in the audience this afternoon, you are in the right place. I mean, when you talk about culture and growth, those are two words that somehow come to mind when you think of this fantastic organization, Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. And so when I coach students on pursuing their career strategies, one of the things I always say is make sure you know the target, make sure you know the company, make sure you know the organization, so that you can ensure that you present yourself in the most effective way to show that you fit into the group. Well, today is great because we are going to get into the works, into the scenes behind this fantastic credit union. We got several key members of their executive leadership team that we're going to talk to, and listen up. We're going to share all kinds of information about not only themselves, but their teams, what they're looking for, where they anticipate growth. And so be thinking about questions. We'll certainly do our best to get to everybody, and make sure you take good notes here because this information is so valuable. So we're going to start out with just a discussion a little bit about each of the vice presidents that are with us, their departments and, their key areas. And we'll move into a discussion then about candidate identification too, what they look for and things like that. So I'm going to kick it off and ask each of our panelists to just give a brief bio of themselves, and especially focus a little bit on their own career journey, how they got to this spot at Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. So with that, I'm going to start with Travis. Travis is the VP of Member Services. Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union has 1 million members. So I think this gentleman is a little busy. Travis, tell us about your path.
Yes, very much so. Oh, I'll tell you, I was kind of glad to see in the poll that one of the important things was growth opportunity. And, for me, being at the credit union, I've been with the credit union now 26 years. And I think Misty said it yesterday that she opened her account at the Live Oak branch many, many years ago. Well, that's the branch I started at as a part-time teller. Just right out of high school. You see it in the movies now, going to a video store. That's where I came from. You used to go rent your DVDs. But started there as a part-time teller and just kind of moved up, became full-time, and then decided, this is a place that I really want to be. I enjoyed the culture. Back even then, the credit union was ingrained in the community, which was something that was very important. So, as I started to grow and learn, I realized, I need more. I need to develop myself. So I decided at that time I was going to go to school also. So I worked on my bachelor's degree, worked on my master's degree, which was for me, because I was part of the credit union, allowed for them to help with that. So I took advantage of our tuition reimbursement program and grew personally. And as I was doing that, I also grew with my professional development, moved up into branch operations, into management, moved to many different branches. I tease that I've been up and down the I-35 corridor. I've worked in Austin, worked in San Antonio, Shirts, anywhere in between, did that and as a branch manager. And then at that point, the credit union looks for internal growth. We like to see our employees grow within the credit union. And I moved to our back office support area, which was in branch support. And from there, I grew to the member service center. I've been in consumer lending, been all over, and moved up to the vice president. In our member service center, we, one of the things that we have just exploded with calls in the pandemic. Everyone was calling at the time, and we also handle our chat team. So in our member service area, we handle all the lines of communication. So we are the first ones that they talk to about anything and everything. They give us a call for. So sometimes they just call us just because they want to talk, because they're bored at home. And that's okay. We want to get them taken care of. But it's a pleasure to always hear them and to get those calls, to talk to them and help them with, what we do as a credit union, and help them, guide them with how they move forward financially, answer their questions. So it's a really exciting, opportunity to go to how we has grown as a credit union to adapt, but also how we grow our employees, and you're going to hear it as we all talk. The amount of tenure that this credit union has is just amazing. And that's something that's very important, because it tells you that it's a place that people want to be.
Yeah, very good, Travis. Thank you so much. God, what an exciting journey you've already had. So, okay, let's go to our next VP. This lady is the VP of Mortgage Operations. Now, how many millions of mortgage dollars do you think go out of this credit union every day? Probably a lot. Okay. So this vice president, Diana Burns, she's a little reserved. So we're going to help her talk a little bit, but Diana, share a little bit about your journey with us.
Thanks, Bruce. I have been with Randolph Brooks for 28 years. And like Travis, I started as a teller and was up and down that 35 corridor as well. When I started, I was part-time, and I was going to South Texas to get my degree. Even though they changed the name, it will always be South Texas to me. So while I was going to school and doing all the different branches, I was learning and growing. And my plan was to stay with Randolph Brooks till I got my degree, and then I was going to fly away into broadcast journalism and chase tornadoes. But Randolph Brooks was a strong company and still is a strong company. So when I got my degree, I decided to dabble in mortgage and have never left. So unlike Travis, who has been all around the credit union, once I found what I love to do, I stayed in mortgage. Now, when I went into mortgage, just so you know, I had my BA, but I came in as a receptionist, and I started as a receptionist, and I rolled up my sleeves and I learned everything I could about the mortgage industry and continued to move up from just going from a loan officer into processing, into management, and now as a vice president. And in that time frame, what was so important is we started with roughly 6 employees in the mortgage department when I started in '98, and we now have over 250 employees just in the mortgage piece. So there is a lot of growth opportunity, not only at Randolph Brooks, but in the mortgage world, just because of all the changes in growth and regulations that continue to change. So it's never a dull moment here at Randolph Brooks or anywhere in the mortgage world.
Diana, thank you. Geez, okay, 28 years, you top Travis there. And students, by the way, I was teasing her about being reserved. As you can see, she's got the biggest smile that Texas could ever have. So, I mean, I've worked several times with this lady on panel discussions. She is fantastic. 28 years there at RBFCU. Okay, let's go to our next panelist. This gentleman is, he's got a few things to do these days. Charles Byerly is a senior VP and the CIO. Now that stands for Chief Information Officer, but he is a good friend of mine and I've worked with him before, and I tell him that stands for influence. He's the Chief Influence Officer. He has done so much to help students prepare them for their careers and continues to do that. So Charles, a little bit about your background to share with our audience.
Sure. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Charles Byerly, as Bruce said. Well, I went to school at Texas Lutheran University there in Seguin, so not too far. I'm a local guy. Management information system major. So I'm a career IT person, but I went to school on a theater scholarship. So you can imagine just how popular I was in high school, being a technology nerd in theater. But yeah, it led me through all kinds of interesting things. Like Diana was talking about with the mortgage world, I found myself running cables in attics and, crawling under gymnasium floors to pull fiber optics, changing mice keyboards, running, email systems and doing information security work. So same sort of thing, right? We made our way through from every task you can sort of imagine in our area of study, and it makes a huge difference for us. And I've been with Randolph Brooks now for 13 years and I don't know, probably 4 months now. Started out in audit. So I picked up a little bit of time writing reports about what information security people should be doing, then switched over to IT and started actually doing some more of that work. I've been a consultant, I've been in banking, and in credit unions and banks are not the same thing. But now I've really found something that I love to do, which is instead of building and making technology, it's more about building people and helping them with their careers. And I do certainly, as Bruce said, have a soft spot for folks that are starting out their careers, and love every minute of being able to talk with you today.
Thank you, Charles. Yes, and he means it, guys. I've seen him in action. This gentleman will take the time, as busy as he is, to stop and help you out. So if you've been doing the math, you add that up, that's 67 years of senior leadership just in these 3 folks. All right. So what's the message here, folks? They're probably not going to hire you as VP, but you've got a real good chance of becoming VP. All right. So let's kind of get into the departments a little bit now. Let's talk about what's happening. So this crazy world we've been living in the last 18 months, virtual on and off again. How has that impacted y'all's groups and your teams? Have you seen positions drop off? Have you seen positions come about? What's the state of the union right now? What type of positions are you looking for in your growth areas? And I'll go back and start with Travis again first. Travis?
Sure. So, one of the things that with the change to our environment that we've seen is that we've always been able to, in a call center environment or even in our chat environment, every second counts to us because that's a call, that's a member waiting. We track everything that you can do because it equates to our efficiency, equates to how long a member waits. So we really had to start to analyze that data, and we actually had to really put more work and ask more questions of our analyst area. And what are we seeing? How can we be better? How can we really be more efficient? Because the calls were coming in, and how do we address those things? And then for us, we hadn't gone home before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we started to send people home. But how did that look? Because we hadn't done it. What is that model that we created in order to do that? We really had to look at that, and we had to really stretch our supervisors to learn how to talk over video, because we're a call center. You talk on the phone, no one sees you. But now we had to switch to that kind of environment. It's very different when you're sitting in front of someone. You can read their mannerisms, you can watch them, see their facial expressions. Over a video, it's much, much harder. And how do you grow an employee and see how they're feeling when you can't see them in person? So we had to really stretch them to get to look for those visual cues. And those are the things that, we've really identified. And how do we do that? And it's going to be later on too. We talked about how do we maintain that culture over a video environment. And those are the things that we really had to stretch them to get them to learn and adapt and grow with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What a significant jump, change in format. So, okay, career tip here, students, learn how to maximize that virtual environment. I mean, he's telling you right there, that is the key to success. It's not going away. One of the most important things you can learn now is adaptability. Okay, let's move to Diana. Diana, what's going on in mortgage ops, and how many, what's the impact on your positions there?
So actually sending everyone home for the pandemic was actually a blessing for us. We had never had anybody working from home. We were skittish about sending anybody home. How were we going to know what the productivity was? But thankfully, 2 years prior to the pandemic, we changed our software in the mortgage area. So when we had to send everyone home, we could still see everything they were doing. We could see exactly what the productivity was. We knew when they were not being as productive as they should be. And then we were able to have the video conversations. We were able to talk to them over the phone. And if they were not managing well, we could always bring them back in. Our struggle during the pandemic was being able to hire. We were on a hiring freeze because you couldn't bring people in. That has been lifted. And then the next struggle was, how do you train somebody when you're doing it virtually, or do we bring them into the building? So we actually, it worked for us. We would bring people in. We actually were hiring people that had no experience, retrain them on site, and then we actually created classes, virtual classes, to teach them about processing, closing, all the aspects, so they could sit virtually in a class to get an understanding, a foundation, and then we could grow it once we got them back out to the floor. So I think the whole pandemic actually opened our eyes to new opportunities.
Yeah, very good. Absolutely. No, it's not all bad news. It is what it is. And I applaud the team, because you all have been able to, make the proverbial lemonade out of lemons and capitalize on it. So what's the career tip here, students? Demonstrate your ability to learn, to accomplish, and be measurable and succeed with the projects at hand. Okay. All right. So let's jump over to technology. You think technology's been busy in the last 18, 24 months? So Charles, share with us what's going on in your camp there.
Well, so we went from a few dozen people working remote to just under 900 team members working remote. that's a smidge of a change, because that at the time when we started was almost half the organization. And then we still had to have team members support the individuals who weren't in a position that we could deploy remote. So that's been interesting. And before, you get in a meeting room and you have a meeting all together face to face, not a problem. Well, now we've got this hybrid environment as well. And then as Travis shared, we didn't have remote contact center members, and we pushed that out. We didn't have a piece of technology when this stuff started out, and so we had to find a piece of technology that would allow us then to reliably answer calls and do and have video conversations from home. And so we did all of that, and we did it through just a mantra of there is no such thing as can't, or there's no, right? If somebody throws something at us and say, my team needs to be able to XYZ, we throw it to the entire department and say, how could we XYZ? And you'd find somebody who wasn't working in a department that you would think would have that knowledge, but they worked somewhere else, and that they had already solved that in some other company. And so it was by crowdsourcing ideas from people to come up with okay, we stitch this thing together with some baling wire and chewing gum, we can make this work. And so through the pandemic, IT was really able to support the business and be relevant to the organization through just simply saying, sure, let's solve for that problem. Let's partner up and come up with some outside of the box ideas. So it was a very stressful time for us, but it was also a super exciting time for IT to be so involved in moving the ball forward.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, the information technology team has come so far in businesses these days. I can remember thousands of years ago when I was working in the oil industry. I mean, the poor IT guys were like the cost center. They were the bad guys. It's like, oh God, how much is it going to cost? And now you are a very valuable partner. So what's the career tip there, students? 2 words: problem solving. Demonstrate your ability to handle the situations. Okay, so let me just close up this discussion with asking each of the panelists, give me the top 3 skills that you're looking for in entry-level candidates these days. I like things, people remember things in 3. So what are the top 3 types of considerations you're looking for in candidates? Travis?
So I look for adaptability. I look for openness to feedback, and one of those, and then I also look for how they want to grow.
Okay, very good. Miss Diana.
Stumping me here because I look at a lot of different things, but I look at their personality. So it is so important that when you're interviewing, that you really express yourself and how much you want this position. So you have to give it your all in that way. I want somebody that is eager to be in that position, that will give their all. And so when you're in an interview, you only have an hour to sell yourself. So you've got to sell yourself. So you have to show your eagerness. And I can train. So I can train people who don't have the experience. So you have got to show that you have the desire to learn.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Charles, wrap it up. Big 3.
Well, problem solver was one. We already nailed that one down. Team player. Even in a virtual classroom, if you will, or a virtual conference, I'm going to know who doesn't contribute, right? So I can see you there, but you're not saying anything. We want out of the box thinkers that are going to work together. And the last one is communication skills. We are very, 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 very much about customer service. If you can't communicate and offer a high level of customer service skills, it's going to be very difficult to be a key contributor in our organization, really at large, the whole place, but especially in IT.
Very good. Okay, students, I hope you wrote those down. Those are the answers to the test. They just gave you what they're looking for. So here's your mission. Do you have that on your resumes? If you don't, go get it. Get some experience, and then contact your career services team at your local university to help you put a story together to transmit that. All right, we're going to move into the second most important consideration for employment, culture. But before we do, just want to ask the audience any questions right now for our panelists regarding just their areas of operation, their current positions, things like that. Put it in the chat, or you're certainly welcome to unmute. We've got time for one or two if we have any. No questions?
Perfect.
Okay. Too busy applying for a mortgage loan right now with Randolph Brooks.
Looking
All
at our
right.
employment page, right?
Looking at, you bet. Yeah, I mean, listen, these guys, I mean, they're like the largest credit union in Texas. All right. There is only 8 other credit unions in the United States that have 1 million or more members. I mean, these guys are significant. I mean, you know, they're probably going to buy Exxon in a couple of years and, you know, just take over the whole, you know, energy market or something. I'm just kidding. Well, I don't know, maybe not.
We do have
All
a
right.
question that came in, Bruce.
Yeah, question. Okay.
Yes. Are there any available internships at the moment? Yes. Oh, thank you, Ashley. Started.
Ashley, we are hoping to post internship options in 2022. So summer 2022, Ashley, is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Typically,
couldn't find my
depending-
unmute button. Yes, so the internship opportunities that we've had previously, we've done them over the summer months. And so we are hoping to post those in the spring of 2022 with anticipation of having our interns over the summer of 2022.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
And we get them involved, Bruce. And in fact, Chandler will give us an opportunity to hear a little bit about her internship, and Josue is currently in an internship, but absolutely hope we can launch that.
Yeah.
Did you say
So-
culture, Bruce? We're going to talk about culture.
We are. One more, it says question, Ashley, remote, in person, or both?
So we haven't ever had remote interns before. We want to make sure that we give them plenty of opportunities to succeed and learn from those that are around them. So I imagine that it will be very much like the majority of our current employees, which are, it's a hybrid approach. And the question on how long do internships last? So the beginning of the internships, again, that we've had in the past have been, they started at the end of May, and then they've run through middle of August.
Okay, very good. So students, just maintain heads up when we turn the year and we get into 2022, you know, watch your local job posting system, and also keep an eye on the RBFCU website too, because I know they'll post those up. I think the last time they had a full internship program, Glenn, correct me if I'm wrong, you had about 19 or 20 positions, right? All across the credit union?
We did right at 20, if you will, in
Yeah.
all different departments, from mortgage to IT, central operations, where we sort of launched it many years ago with
Yeah.
IT. So, yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right, let's move into our next segment for our panel and talk about that big word, culture. I mean, everybody talks about it, asks about it. And so now's our chance. We're going to hear what makes these folks stay this long. Look at that, 26 years, 28 years, 13 years. I mean, that tenure is phenomenal. All right. And Ashley, God, so I'm going to first, we're going to ask a lady from way up north. Okay. You know, Randolph Brooks is not just San Antonio, guys. It's like, it goes all the way to Dallas and all the way to Corpus. And so we're very fortunate today that we have Miss Melissa Woodworth with us. She's the VP of branch operations up in the Big D. And I'm going to ask her first, what is culture? What does the RBF's culture mean to you? You know, if somebody says, do you like working there? What do you say? How do you fill in that blank?
I say RBFCU to me is a family, and we do life with each other. I have been here for 14 years, and we have walked through people getting married. We have watched people have kids. We have been there, to hold their hands through the death of a family member. But RBFCU is a family, and we tell our members that when they open an account, we say, welcome to the RBFCU family. We can have 1 million members and still adopt them into the family, but the employees are the core of that. And that's something that we strive really, really hard, no matter how spread out we are. It's kind of like you have family all over the country, but you still stay in touch with each other. No matter how spread out apart we are, we still make sure that we stay connected somehow to continue that culture across the organization.
Very good. No, I totally agree with that. I've been associated with this credit union for many, many, many years, and it's always exemplified. So, okay, let's bring it back to some of our local team here. Travis, tell us, I mean, when you think of RBFCU culture, what words do you use to describe it?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Melissa. I mean, she's exactly right. We've all grown together. We've all seen each other have kids, and then what I'd kind of like to add to that is that, we are a credit union that it doesn't matter what level you're at, you talk to everyone. One of the things that even when you're in the building, you'll walk by someone and everyone just says hello. I mean, that's what I hear from the employees all the time. They're like, wow, I mean, usually when I walked around my old work, I could walk right past someone and they'd look down at the floor. Oh, we're like, hello, how's it going? We speak to each other. And then one of the other things too is that we want to hear feedback all the way from the bottom up to the top. One of the things that I hear in the member service center all the time is, wow, I've never even talked to any of the VPs that I've ever, other financial institutions that I've worked at, and we're having a conversation right now. And, we're asking for feedback. We're asking for their thoughts. We're asking how to change, how to make things better. And a lot of companies don't do that, but that's who we are, because we want to know from every spot of the credit union how to make ourselves better and to grow.
Very good. Thank you, sir. No, and then I can attest to that. I would have the pleasure of being in the corporate offices on many occasions. And when you go from ASC 1 all the way to 3, it takes a long time because there's just a lot of fantastic folks in there to say hello to. Well, Miss Diana, what about you? What do you think about this culture thing?
I'm going to agree with the other two, but I'm also going to say there's that work-life balance. And we do pride ourselves in wanting to make sure that when we're working hard, but that there also is downtime. And there's downtime that if you need to be with your family, although we are family at Randolph Brooks, we spend more time with our work family than we do sometimes with our own families. But we can break away, and management from the CEO all the way down, we believe in taking care of our family and the community. So it is not just Randolph Brooks and our membership, but it is the community around us that we want to make sure that we support, and they know that we're supporting them.
Yeah, very good. Very comprehensive, very collaborative all the way around. 110%. Charles, what can you add to the feelings here?
Well, since nothing ever breaks in IT, maybe this next one's not appropriate. I'm just kidding. So it really is an into the trench mentality for us. It's everybody's fighting the good fight together. Whatever happens to one happens to all of us. Travis was talking about the hallways. Well, we've got long hallways. So the real thing for us at the office is, at what point down the hallway do you say hello? Because everybody. It's like, when you see them, do you say hello? Is it appropriate to say hello twice?
Right.
And it's really kind of interesting because you just know so many people. It's like, well, I just say hello everybody and do the two-handed wave or something. I don't know. But one thing that's been important for all of us to get through this crazy time in the pandemic, and something that exemplifies Randolph Brooks, is this: there's no superheroes here. There's just superhumans, right? And that's the difference. It's nobody's looking for anybody to perform magic. What we're looking for is compassion and empathy. The same things that we show our members is the same thing we show each other. And so really that superhuman mentality is something that I see here and feel here every day that I didn't see where I worked before. Where you're rewarded for being superheroes and saving money and doing all this other stuff. Well, here we're about our members and each other, and it really, that culture, that's a big deal. It's it definitely keeps people here when there's other opportunities to go maybe make more money or work in I don't know, a place that's less hot in the summertime.
Well, very good. Thank you, Charles. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, when Glenn and I walk through together, it usually takes us about 4 hours, because he knows everybody from the guard at the front door to the,
Oh my
to
goodness.
yeah. Now, let me ask you,
Hey, Bruce, I do want to say something. Diane mentioned, from the CEO to all the leadership, all the employees. I have to tell you, when I first started with RBFCU, the same sort of circumstances at the other company I worked for previously. You didn't want to bother the leadership or the executives. You didn't want to say hello. You didn't want, you weren't sure if they were going to say hello back, if you will. But that just does not happen at RBFC. You walk the halls, and if Ashley's there or Charles there, we communicate, we connect. I remember one of the times that I was walking through a hall, and Mr. O'Connor said, "Hey, Glenn," and he beat me to it, which sort of completely surprised me. He said hello first, but that's the way it is. That's what we hope to get back to, and I know we can. But it's that culture that I believe makes the difference. And I call it the caring culture of RBFCU, and it starts at the top and it goes from the very next person that we hire. It's important.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I was actually going to ask Ashley about that. I mean, she must be very proud to be working with that type of powerful attitude and philosophy. I mean, there's 5 or 6, that are up there in the C-suite that just, it has to come from them. Because I've been at places where if it's not from top down, it doesn't matter what you want to do. And so, Ashley, I guess you've been very fortunate to be part of that great team up there.
Absolutely. I've been very fortunate. And during my tenure with the credit union, I've actually worked directly for each of the 4 executive vice presidents that we currently have in place. Everyone is very conscious of what our employees are going through. I think, the compassion that you saw over the course of the last 18 months in particular, and what people were going through, we've definitely seen our focus just 100% be on how our members and our employees have been impacted by this, and what can we do to lessen that burden for them. And so it's amazing to be a part of a company with that sort of culture.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, congratulations to all of you. Just a wonderful, wonderful job, wonderful opportunity. So before we close, let's take it now down into the team. So what are you all doing to, stay connected? What are some examples that you can share with us that you do with your teams to support each other and kind of in this crazy time? Travis, we'll start with you again.
We have a lot of team meetings. We are talking to our employees every day, as much as we can. We send out surveys to gauge how they're doing. We send them care packages, and we ask them, what can we do? What can we do to make things better for you? How can we change them? And one of the things I really, really like to do and get the opportunity to do, and it's not because I have the idea or thought, it's I ask them, hey, what are some of the things we can change? When they say, if we did this in training, we could do this. I love to be able to make a change right there on the spot, and they all get to see it. That speaks volumes to them that their feedback is important. And, probably about every 2 or 3 meetings, I get to do that. And it's great because that kind of stuff spreads like wildfire amongst employees.
You bet. No, very good. Powerful action. Powerful action. Diana?
Again, I'll agree with Travis. We were lucky enough to get the Microsoft Teams in place right before the pandemic really was going wild. So this really has been an opportunity for us to have the video meetings with them so we can see their faces. We do weekly meetings. We try to do games and things that keep everybody engaged. And then even prior to prior to the pandemic, I'll just say in our area, we believe in the community and giving back. So for my ops teams, we've adopted families for the past 8 years for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it does bring this connection of what they are providing to the community out there, from food to gifts, and making other people happy for the holidays who would not normally have that opportunity. And that's just my area. The credit union as a whole is always finding ways to give back to the community, from food donations to the children's hospital. So those also can bring all of our teams together, knowing we are still one, working to a common goal, whether we're working from home remotely or we're in the offices.
Very good. Thank you. Well said. Thank you very much for that. Charles, what do you do? How do you keep all your groups in that IT bunch? That's a big group.
It's a divide and conquer approach sometimes with my VPs, working with their teams directly, more on the day-to-day. We have larger group meetings that used to be in person, whether it was, buying breakfast tacos and donuts or making some hamburgers at lunch. But now with the virtual stuff, the biggest audio train wreck you could imagine, we had about a month ago. We tried to get about 200 employees to synchronize sing happy birthday together on a Teams meeting. It was, I think the laughter lasted longer than the singing, which is probably appropriate given how bad the singing was. But that was the number one most requested change for our next meeting, which was, please record these so that we have them to play them back. And I thought it was the great presentation I did on strategic planning, but no, it was the happy birthday that they truly wanted to hear.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's that. When this whole thing started, I had just gotten a new puppy. And so for a while there, when we were all thinking this stuff was going to turn us into zombies, I'd share stories about what the notorious little brown dog was doing to just kind of take the edges off of things and share some humanity. But another thing the organization does, and I know, Glenn and I do a lot of this stuff in partnership, and that is fitness events. So we have a gym at the office, but pretty much any 5K or a fitness event in the town that we can, or any of our markets really, that we can sponsor, we seem to sponsor and throw on some sneakers and get out there together. And we'll continue to do that as long as we can do it, even if it's virtual and you got to run it at home.
That's great. Holy cow. Happy birthday, running 5Ks. Melissa, what are y'all doing up there in the Great White North, up in Dallas? Tell us about your team up there.
I will use any excuse to get people together in a COVID-friendly way, but we're very blessed in Dallas. We have a lot of professional sports teams. We have professional football, professional basketball, professional baseball, you name it, we have access to it. So this summer, I organized the baseball outings out at the field in Frisco, which falls just under the Texas Rangers. They are the feeder team for the Texas Rangers. But I strategically chose games where we would be playing against our rival markets. So I chose when we were going to play against the San Antonio Missions, which are also known as the Flying Chanclas. We would go play against them, and it was family friendly. Bring your spouse, bring your kids. We got lawn seats. You throw out your beach towel. We lay in the grass and watch the game. We kind of rag on our San Antonio friends, the Corpus Christi Hooks. I would choose those games specifically so that me and the Corpus team could kind of have a little rival going on. It's just an excuse for them to get out of their house and get together, and for us to be able to see each other as humans in jeans, in t-shirts, in ball caps, no makeup, eating a hot dog, just being humans together. And I try to do that just as often as I can.
That's fantastic. Wow. Really, really good. Well, there you have it. I mean, I don't know, students, audience, why you would look anywhere else. I mean, this is everything you need right here. You got the culture, you got the growth, you got fantastic people, you got family, superhuman endeavor results in super results. I mean, just fantastic group. Any last? Yes, sir.
Charles mentioned something. I've got to interject here just a little bit. Charles
really?
talked about running 5K events
Yeah.
And getting out there with the health and wellness program, which it's incredible how we were able to keep it going during the pandemic. We actually have our own in-house mobile app, if you will, through a company called Health Check 360. And we were able to really get the teams together. And I'll be honest, I was a little surprised by the number of employees that registered. We had step challenge, we had an executive team challenge. So it starts, as you said earlier, it starts from the top, and they are very competitive. And with Charles and the team, we were able, with Charles's support, he's actually the fastest 5K runner at RBFCU that I am aware of. He holds that title, but his team was able to bring it home, and we were fortunate to win an event here in San Antonio called the Corporate Cup. But that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't the leadership. And actually, as Ashley indicated, our executive team participated in a little game called pickleball, where they actually won the first event. Charles's team won the 5K, and so many others. But it's looking for these type of virtual events that I believe helped us stay together. And now as things are opening up, a couple events that we're looking forward to is the San Antonio Food Bank has the turkey trot that we've participated in for years. And also in Austin, there's another event. And then we're adding to the health and wellness program, trying to incorporate social distancing and getting out in the open. As Melissa indicated, we've got a missions to missions charity bike tour that we're implementing. And so we're trying to stay together. It's fitness wise, but also, keeping your mental health is also very critical, important to the organization. So Charles, hopefully he can run in the 5K, no pressure, but it's those things that we are trying to really instill in our employees. Get out there, stay healthy, contribute to the community. And I know Ashley in HR, we've done a couple events for our mental health. I don't know if Ashley, you want to talk a little bit about those as well?
Well, we've done a couple of different things as a team to try to make sure that people are staying connected. We had a bring your pets to a meeting just, I guess it's been a couple of months ago now. And then we've also done a bucket list for vacations where employees have brought pictures of either places that they want to go or places that they've been to that we had quite a bit of fun with. We've also sent out care packages to our employees and sent just notes to everybody, just reminding them how much we appreciate everything that they do on a day-to-day basis for our employees. And so just like our other leaders have talked about, it's really try to find new ways to connect with employees that you don't get to see every single day, but still finding ways to just connect.
Thank you, Ashley.
Very good. All right. Well, just many, many thanks to our panelists today. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Melissa, Diana, Travis, Charles. Fantastic input, good words. What a great, time to share with our audience and our students. So we're going to close this section of our presentation this afternoon. There's more to come, so please stay with us. And I believe we have another polling question to come up. Is that right, Misty?
Yes, you should all see it on your screen now. So go ahead and take a minute for that. And again, if you still have questions for our panelists, they will be sticking around. So we'd be happy to put those in the chat. But as we are looking to see what everybody answers here, keep going. We'll keep it open for a few more seconds. But it's looking pretty interesting. Okay, let's get 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so let's see what we got here. All right, so how important is the internship for attaining your future career goals? Wow, very exciting.
Well, I think it was a giveaway. Ashley started at an internship and stayed with the company. And Chandler, you'll hear a little bit more about her experiencing internships, if you will, and ultimately how they came to RBFCU. But internships, important. definitely critical. It's your little interview for maybe 12 weeks, if you will, and gives you a chance to learn about the company and for the company to learn about you. So hopefully you'll explore some of the internship opportunities that are out there.
Hey,
Mr.
Glenn.
Howard, and now we're on to your next segment.
Hey,
Very
Glenn,
good.
talking about
So-
Oh, go ahead,
Talking-
Travis.
Yeah, talking
ahead,
about
Travis.
interns, it's a good, and you may know it off the top of your head, with all of our interns, we've had quite a few get hired on. I mean, I think we're probably like 80% of them end up staying on with the credit union once they complete their internship. It's a lot, it's a high number, and that's exciting to see.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Travis. I think one of the things that was important in the internship program, by the way, it was a paid internship program as well. And but the interns, we got them involved through the community initiatives and events that we participated in. And we had a couple that we created ourselves, but then we had a lot of fun too, from going to the missions game to Top Golf to working at the San Antonio Food Bank and actually harvesting fruits and vegetables. And it was probably one of the best events that I've supported, if you will. And Chandler, I'm sorry, I don't want to give any more away because I know that's part of your conversation, but absolutely, Travis, we're extremely excited by the success of the internships and how those joined us and stayed with us. And it's an important part of the process.
Thanks, Glenn. So let's move along and go to our next folks today. I mean, we've heard so much about this caring attitude. And one of the things that I think stands out about RBFCU is about the care of their members and the care of their members' well-being. And that kind of drills down into the care of their financial literacy as well. And so today we're very happy to have Jennifer Crawford with us. She's the financial literacy senior specialist there at Randolph Brooks. And I believe, Jennifer, you may have the record for the most miles on the car running around and doing presentations and things like that, right? So tell us a little bit about your career journey real quick and your history there with Randolph Brooks.
Absolutely, Bruce. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. So my name is Jennifer Crawford. I've been with the credit union now 21 years. I started as a teller, as a lot of the fellow panelists have been. I started at our Randolph branch, but my education or my degree is actually in education, as some of the panelists from Southwest Texas State University. And then while I was training to become one of those awesome tellers, I had to go through and sit through a lot of training courses. And when I was sitting through the training courses, I thought, man, that's where I want to end up. So eventually that department did not grow. Those individuals loved their department and they never moved. So it took a while, but eventually when they opened up positions within that department, that's where I wanted to go. And so I applied and landed in the learning and development department, stayed there for several years. And then the credit union decided to open up or develop the financial literacy department. And I had the opportunity to kind of shadow a couple of individuals that were in that area. And I was hooked the first day. As I mentioned, my degree was in education. And so I loved being in the community, loved sharing information with individuals. And so, like I said, when I was shadowing the individuals in the financial literacy area, I'm like, I'm sold. What do I need to do to get into the community and share beneficial financial information with anyone and everyone? So that is what I've been doing ever since. And that's probably the longest term in the credit union has been in the financial literacy department.
Yeah, very good. Well, congratulations, 21 years. That's fantastic. Great tenure for you. You found your spot. Let's drill down a little bit and help our audience, the students, especially in the audience. So what should they be thinking about if they're interested in a career path like this? What are the drivers? What are the characteristics? I mean, what do they need to say, oh, wow, that would probably be a good place for me?
Well, I just enjoy going and sharing information with other individuals. So, Charles had mentioned it earlier. A couple of other individuals had mentioned it as well, is just that communication skills is very beneficial, very important in our position. Do a lot of public speaking. So, now during the pandemic, it's virtual, but beforehand, I'd be in front of 300 high school students in an auditorium talking about, credit, the advantages and disadvantages of credit. So definitely public speaking, definitely the desire to help individuals of all ages. We'll talk to students in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, colleges, and we've even done presentations in senior centers as well. So desire to help individuals of all ages. And then as everyone has discussed, the flexibility and adaptability. Because, even before the pandemic, we'd have to go with a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. When we go into the classrooms, this technology isn't working. Okay, well, this is my next, if that's not going to work, well, then give me a piece of paper, give me a chalkboard. Let me have something to where I can share this information with my audience. So definitely the finance that came within learning on the job, just being a teller, but then also the credit union gave us the opportunity to develop our financial awareness and being able to share that information with our membership, but then also our employees as well, because we do presentations for our internal members, as we call them, or our employees.
Okay, very good. So what's your crystal ball say, Jennifer? The future of your presentations, do you think we're going to stay in this hybrid environment, or what do you think we're headed?
I do see us in the hybrid environment. We are already doing some in-person presentations. We are still doing virtual presentations, and we've already conducted some hybrid presentations as well, whether we're in person and the audience is in person and online, or I'm at home and they are online or in person as well. So what is great, like you were talking about, I've been traveling in the vehicle, have lots of miles on the company vehicles, company vehicles tires. But being virtual, I can do a presentation for, I believe she might have hopped off already, Melissa's folks in Dallas. And then I can hop on in the afternoon and do presentations for individuals in Corpus Christi, all over the state of Texas. So it's actually broadened our reach than when we were strictly in person. So very valuable. The transition it's actually been very beneficial in our area.
Sure.
So also one of the things, and I know that Jennifer's been very involved in it, is a presentation that we do for the Comal Independent School District that is currently underway. It's called the Emerging Leader Series, and we're doing virtual presentations. Now the students are in person at one of the new high schools here in San Antonio, but the RBFCU team is is virtual, but we're still able to support an etiquette luncheon for the students that are attending. So we're able to continue to move forward. And Michelle Herrera and Jennifer do a wonderful job of talking about financial literacy, if you will. And they've actually won an awards for their presentation. So she's all over the state, virtually and in person.
That's awesome. Great. Yeah, no, we need that. Oh my gosh. Where were you when my daughter was 13? So, okay, before we let you go, Jennifer, give us your one word about RBFCU culture, what it means to you.
Okay, so I want to kind of piggyback off of what Diana mentioned earlier, was giving back to the community. That is, how awesome is it that my job, my career for the credit union allows me to give back to those in our community, members, non-members, as I mentioned, individuals of all ages. How cool is it that I give back while I get paid? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Love it.
That's wonderful. But that fantastic cherry on the Sunday. Beautiful. Thank you for what you do, especially for our young people. I'm really close to that group. So thank you. Thank you for that. So, okay, let's now step into our last two testimonials. I'm really hoping that in 25 years, when these two folks say they've been with RBFCU for 25 years, that me and Glenn are still doing these things. But for the time being, they may have a little bit lesser tenure, but that doesn't mean anything. So Chandler Miller is an IT information security analyst one, and we're going to also be talking to Josue Gonzalez. I believe I said that right. He's an IT information security analyst intern. And so he's there, and you know, someday he may be CIO. You never know. So Chandler, tell us a little bit about your internship experience. You've done it, and now you're full time, right?
Yes, sir. So like Bruce said, my name's Chandler. I have currently been at RBFCU, including my internship experience, for about 2 years and 5 months. And so this internship actually, and I'm not being biased at all since I work here now, but it went beyond my expectations. When I first started applying for internships, I was actually excited to start at RBFCU just based off the reviews and things that I saw online. But it was just more than getting my foot in the door and gaining experience within my career field. But I also got to network, give back like everyone has emphasized, and just learn more about the credit union as a whole while interning here. And I think another one of my favorite parts was that, like Glenn mentioned, we had about 20 interns during the time I interned back in 2019. So I also got to learn what they were doing as an intern. So which also gave me more insight about the credit union as a whole. And then from a career aspect, I was fortunate enough that I was able to have bosses, mentors, and coworkers that allowed me to learn as much as I wanted to and soak it all in, which can be a lot for someone still in college. And I never had true exposure to information security. So that was the best thing. And something else that stuck out while I was an intern was the culture, which is one of the main topics for today. And yeah, I will say it just blew my mind. The internship as a whole blew my mind.
Beautiful. No, that's great. What a wonderful opportunity. And you've turned that into what's probably likely to be your career home.
Yes.
So good. Congratulations. So let's go to Josue. Forgive me. I think I'm saying that right. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So you've been there, I think, about a month.
Yes, sir.
And you know, just in kind of getting into your internship, but I maybe share with our student audience, give them a few secrets. How did you get that internship? I mean, how did you have that success?
So in preparing to interview for RBFCU, one of the things I did was I practiced interviewing a lot. I worked over my resume in order to ensure that I had, you know, the qualifications, but also the certain certain skills that would benefit the team. I wanted to bring something to the table other than, you know, me just working there. I wanted to, you know, help benefit the team by hiring me. So I guess the main thing that I would say to the students was just, you know, work on your resume, practice interviewing, be comfortable talking about yourself and about your skills. And like it was stated earlier, sell yourself. Like you have to sell yourself during the interview. And I believe that's one of the main things that helped me get this position.
Good. Yeah. Thank you. Glenn, go ahead.
Yeah, Bruce, I actually had a chance to talk with Johnny Hines, who's our vice president of IT security. And Johnny mentioned something at a previous event as he was going through the applications and resume. Something that Josue did is not only had a very a resume that sort of talked to the things that Ashley talked about, make sure that we could, you know, it got our attention. But the cover letter, Johnny mentioned the cover letter, that Josue put together a cover letter that said, okay, let's take a closer look at this individual. So that was one of the things that Johnny talked about. Yes, your resume, but a supporting cover letter that said, this is what I've done. and this is why I want to bring what I've done to your company. So kudos to you, Josue, for going through that process. I think it definitely makes a difference. And I Glenn wants to tell a little bit of a story somehow, some way. But, I hear Chandler talking about her experience at RBFCU and internship. We had a great group, 20 wonderful students that were looking for careers. And I think one of the things that stood out to me is they were engaged in all the activities. They definitely were not just going through the motions. And I think that absolutely makes a difference. And it was absolutely critical for us to experience that. And then later on, after Chandler joined the credit union in the middle of the winter storms that I think many of us experienced, my system went down at home. And I couldn't get back on the system. So with Charles and his team, I was able to call in and let the desktop support team know that I needed help. And the person who called me back and got me set back up on our platform and our network, it was Chandler. And it was critical because, like Travis talks about, it's the customer service that we provide to our members, but the internal customer service that we received from our desktop support was just amazing. And go figure, it was sort of like a full circle moment for me, if you will, that she was able to get me back up and running, learned how to handle her role and responsibility, and then and the manner with which she did it. So it was just a great thing, if you will. Again, the internships are truly important, but you got to make the most out of them. And I truly believe Chandler's been able to do that. So I'm excited for the future, if you will. So thank you again for getting me back up and running, Chandler.
Thank you for your kind words.
Chandler, you can tell everybody the story about him down at the food bank, picking tomatoes, or right. I think that's where y'all went down there for one of your events. Yeah.
We've got some great pictures. Yep.
Got some great pictures. So Chandler, okay, now you've heard all, this discussion about the culture, but when you're out with your friends and you're hearing about where they work, what comes to mind the first thing that you think about when you say Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union to them when it comes to culture? What's on top of mind for you that you share with them?
That's a hard one to pick one. I think one of the main things that I noticed right off the bat is the way that we're able to give back through RBFCU, and I got to be a part of that even as an intern, along with I know multiple people mention it being from the culture. The positive culture comes from the top to the bottom, and I've noticed that just with my teammates, my bosses, and all the way up. So I think those are the two things that come to mind. And I think that truly affects the teamwork and the productivity in a positive way.
Yes, absolutely. Josue, I bet you had choices, friend. I bet you had choices. What made you pick Randolph Brooks?
So yes, this past summer when I was interviewing for positions and internships, I actually had several offers for different places, different positions. But I ultimately chose Randolph Brooks because of what I've heard throughout the community. I've only been here in San Antonio for about a year and a half attending school. But, the whole time I've been here, I've heard of, Randolph Brooks and just a bunch of great stories, how much they value their members and how great it is to work here. So once I got offered this position, I definitely wanted to take it because I wanted to be a part of that family.
Good choice. Well done. That's the way to do it. So as you've heard from our polls and our questions, a lot of students out there seeking internships, and hopefully, and I believe they will, Randolph Brooks will have their program rolling again for next summer. So what can students do now to help them prepare for that opportunity? What are some things that they may be not thinking of that they should be thinking of to get them ready for, to apply for those positions? I'll go back to Chandler. We'll start with that.
I would say a few things that I noticed when I was applying while in college was that most internships want you in college. So I would say start looking early and continue to look around to different opportunities and look at what they're looking for and compare and gain that experience that you don't have at home. and which also shows that you have interest outside of the career that you're trying to get in. I would say networking is a big thing, and also just be willing to get out of your comfort zone.
Okay, Josue?
Yes, so of course, networking is a great one. Just, trying to get your foot in the door can be tough if, you're new to a certain field. I would say just to, keep applying. If you don't get, an interview or somewhere or an offer, just keep trying. One of the things that kind of affected me was the first time a company said no to me. It kind of hurt me really bad, but I kind of took it as a learning experience. Every interview I've had, I kind of built off of that and kind of became more comfortable with the interviewing process and the whole application process. So I guess for students, just keep trying, no matter what, just keep going for it.
Yeah, very good. And Chandler adds, do your research on the company you're interested in. Don't be in an interview with Randolph Brooks and say, what do you do? That's going to kill it real quick. Okay. Audience, any questions for our two panelists here or Miss Jennifer Crawford? I think we've kind of given them the whole full scoop here. So
actually, I do have a question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
For
Kelly.
the intern. So it seems like RBFCU has internships in a variety of areas within the company. So what made you guys choose to intern in the areas that you did?
Good, thank you.
So I'm currently going to school at Texas A&M University, San Antonio. I'm going for my bachelor's in information assurance and cybersecurity. So the specific internship I have is kind of correlated towards that. So that's the reason why I chose this internship, because it's in the same field of that I want to pursue in as a career.
I am also in the same boat as Josue. I actually graduated with the cybersecurity degree from UTSA.
Those are very linear fits, but I would think, maybe I'll ask Diana, it's Byrne, she's still on the call. I mean, do you consider a wide array of academic backgrounds for people to go into mortgage operations?
Actually, that it's been a shift. So we didn't. We really wanted people to have processing or closing experience because it was less of training. And we've taken a different stance on that in the past year and a half. And we've actually started opening those positions. We've created new entry-level positions so that they can really get their feet wet and understand from the ground up. And then we've added new classes to train them on the job. And we've seen great results with that, because they're more eager. Than some people that have been in the business for 30 years that are burnt out. The people that are given that opportunity, they are giving us 110%. And we've really seen a shift in the attitude, both with the staff that were burnt out and now the new staff coming in. It's really given us some new, fresh perspective.
Good, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Chandler, a question for you. If I'm not mistaken, the internship with RBFC was not your first one. Can you talk about that first internship, which wasn't related to IT, if I'm not mistaken, but sort of how you were able to go through that internship and decide that wasn't direction that you wanted to take, and then ultimately attain the internship at RBFCU? Oh, did she freeze?
Who was that for?
That was for Chandler.
Oh.
Yeah, so I actually have an interesting story. My first degree was in accounting, and I was able to get experience while studying accounting, which I'm grateful for, because as soon as I got the experience, I realized it wasn't actually for me. which is why I think internships are so important. But I was actually an accountant, or working in accounting for an open cloud institute at UTSA. And one of the head people over there suggested that I try cybersecurity. He thought I would be a great candidate. And I did. I changed my degree and I fell in love with it, and now I'm here.
And will be for another 28 years.
Hey, Bruce, do you mind if I add something? Just from
Please.
a member service perspective, you know, I look less at what the degree is and more about the activities that you're involved in college, the groups that you're involved in, how you engage with people, and are you leading groups? What are you doing from a people perspective? Because that's what's going to drive it from a member service. Your degree, people grow, get a degree, and then they end up in different fields. I mean, all over the place. It really is to what you find that you love to do. But from a member perspective and a management perspective, it's about how you're involved within your school and the groups that you're part of. Those are the things that I look for.
You bet. Thank you, Travis, for adding that. Absolutely. You know, it's not just GPA, is it? You know, professors kill me when they hear me say that, but that doesn't mean you have a 1.2. Okay, don't misunderstand students in the audience, but it's the whole package, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, a lot of great info, a lot of good scoop. I hope our students on our audience have benefited from this. I mean, we got the answers, and that's what I like. So I believe we're going to adjourn this session, and I believe there is maybe another poll opportunity before we move into our final presentation of how to be a competitive candidate.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone who was on, and everything that you shared. So exciting, so informative. So thank you. So yes, here's our next poll ready to go. So when submitting your resume and cover letter, what is the most important information they are looking for? So let's see what everybody has to say for that one. And feel free, everybody, join in and submit your answers. It could be anything, right? So I'm really excited that Glenn and Bruce will take some time to share with us what it's like to be a competitive candidate. I do have a couple of polls throughout their presentation too, so stay tuned. Okay, we're gonna give it 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so closing that poll out, let's see what we got here. What is the most important? Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's interesting. Well, we will definitely talk a little bit more about that in our presentation on how to be a competitive candidate. Hopefully the students will be able to get some guidance, if you will, and maybe we should be able to answer that question. What is more important? The employment history, the summary of qualifications, the education, or what you want to do with what you've done, the career objective. So looking forward to do that. Bruce, I will go ahead and to the RBFCU team, thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate your insight of your career path, what the culture of RBFC means to you, and to the students. We are going to share with you, again, information about what it's going to take to be a competitive candidate in this new environment. I will get my screen up, and we'll take just a few seconds, and then we'll go from there. If my screen will allow me to do that.
You,
There we go. Can we see it?
that's good. We're up.
Fantastic. Okay, well, now to the final segment, which is to be a competitive candidate. And with that, Bruce, I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
Very good. Thank you, Glenn. So we're going to kind of wrap up our afternoon to help students and anyone in the audience that may be in this situation of beginning their career journey to share with you from both of our perspectives. I was a recruiter for I don't know, 15, 16 years. Glenn has been a recruiter. We've both been in college workforce development. I myself for over 20 years, Glenn for probably close to 15. So we're going to give you some tips and techniques and give you a little bit of a head start to apply the knowledge you've heard today so that you may have even a better, hopefully a successful chance of getting in with this great credit union. So we're going to talk a little bit about just a real quick, the two organizations that we represent. We're building your brand is really a big deal for me, and I teach career branding all the time, and I know Glenn also endorses that. So we're going to give you the 3 top tools that you need to have to help you build that career brand. And then, okay, where do I look? Where do I find? Where do I go shopping? You know, where are these opportunities posted, and what should I be sensitive to as far as maintaining awareness of these opportunities? And then talk a little bit about the latest acronym, ATS, Applicant Tracking Systems. Now, these have been around for a long time with HR professionals, but they're becoming more and more widely used. And there's more and more AI, artificial intelligence, being used to help process applications and resumes. So we're going to touch on that real quick. And then also just a little bit about the current employment market and opportunities that are going on, you know, in our market area. So Glenn?
Absolutely. I know as you looked at this event, students to support and participate in, hopefully you've done a little research on RBFCU. That's one of the most important things you possibly can do before you start applying and looking for employment opportunities. So I joined RBFCU almost 12 years ago. It's hard to believe, but RBFCU just celebrated its 69th anniversary, its 1 millionth member. We're in San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Plano, Frisco, Allen, Fort Worth, Corpus Christi, and New Braunfels for now. We have probably more than tripled in size in the last 10 years, if you will, from the number of members, assets under management. We're probably closer to 15 billion in assets than where we were 10 years ago. Employees as well. When I started, we were about 650 employees. Today, we're closer to 2,100 employees. So as you can see, we've definitely grown. We look to continue to grow, but one of the things that's also has grown is we've talked about it, our internship program. The growth opportunities have definitely grown. Every position typically has levels of growth within those roles. And I think the other thing that has grown is our commitment to the culture of RBFCU. So that's a little bit about RBFCU, and hopefully it just enhances the research you may have already done. Bruce?
And I represent today the South Texas Alliance of Career Champions. I serve as the executive director of that organization. It is a 501c3 nonprofit that is basically the business arm of the oldest consortium of career centers in Texas. Used to be called SECUCA, and many, if not all, of the colleges represented on the call today are members of the South Texas Alliance of Career Champions. So proud to have built that organization and serve as the executive director. And what we do is just continue to find ways to not only help each other grow professionally, but also help our constituent clients like students and alumni develop the skills necessary to accomplish your career goals. We're also active in the transitioning service member space where, you know, I participate in a lot of workshops and seminars to help our veteran men and women make that jump from the military to the civilian workforce.
Absolutely. And Bruce, thank you for sharing that. I know one of the things that Bruce has done with the support of Texas State is to bring their team out to the RBFCU campus to help transitioning service members complete mock interviews and resume reviews. We did one in 2019. I think we calculated in just a few hours, we did almost 600 mock interviews and resume reviews just in that time. So looking forward to get back to that again. Thank you, Bruce. And with that, let's move on to the 3 tools to build your brand. So what does that mean? What are the 3 tools? Well, obviously it's that elevator pitch. It's today that virtual elevator pitch, the job description, and the resume. These are going to be important elements, and they all have a major impact as you start applying and looking for employment opportunities. One of the things that you hear all the time, I know career service centers will share this with you, maybe friends who are helping you with a resume, family members, they say, well, I've heard you have to tailor your resume to the job description. I said it myself, Bruce and I talk about it all the time. Tailor your resume to the job description. Finally, somebody said, well, why? Why do you have to do that? And as I thought about it, I thought, okay, it's actually pretty simple. It's because the job description is what employers are looking to fill. This is the job. The requirements is the person and the skills we're looking for, the requirements to fill that role and responsibility. So we want you to tailor your resume to the job description requirements because it's the answers to the quiz. It's the answers to the quiz. And we take it one step further when we say tailor your resume. Obviously, we've talked about the cover letter. Definitely highlight some of the things on your cover letter. Tell us what you've done and why you want to bring what you've done to the company. And maybe also a few nuggets of information that you gathered in your research. Like what? What would you gather in your research about RBFCU? That we're growing. We were just rated one of the best companies to work for in San Antonio. Our goal, our mission is people, helping people. So again, if you're able to share some of that information on your cover letter, you just let the recruiter hiring manager know that, hey, okay, that you've done your research. The other thing I think is important, we'll take it one step further. When you're applying for a position and you submit your resume, everybody has the name, contact information, phone number, typically at the very top, right? That's Bruce, that's usually the most commonly used format. One of the things I like to teach is that first category right under that. So what does that look like? I've heard summary, I've heard profile, executive qualifications. Well, if you think about your resume, the way I've looked at a resume over my career, and I've looked at so many, I love looking at resumes and cover letters, go figure. I love looking at that. I want to know what you want to do with what you've done. So what is your career objective? Don't make us guess. Tell us what you want to do. In fact, career objective is something I think is critical. And let's take it one step further. So if you're applying for a consumer lending position with Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union or a desktop support analyst position with Randolph Brooks, why not have that be in your career objective? In other words, that category should say something along the lines of my career objective is to obtain a desktop support position with Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union where I could utilize my experience and education to meet the growing IT needs of the organization. But what you've just done is tailored your resume specifically to the position that you're applying for, and you just got my attention. You got the attention of recruiters and hiring managers. Why is that important? Because I think you've probably heard it takes what, Bruce, 6 to 15 seconds for a recruiter hiring manager to say, okay, is this somebody that I want to move forward with? Is this somebody I want to move forward with? And what they do is basically you get the attention, they're going to keep reading. So get our attention at the very top. Now, when you start engaging and talking with a recruiter and hiring manager, you've got to be able to tell us what you want to do with what you've done and why. Where did it come from? I hear all the time during interviews, well, I have a passion for IT. I have a passion for customer service. Tell me where the passion came from. Tell me that story where you realize this is what you want to do. This is what you wanted to pursue. This is why you wanted to go to college. And then when you share it, don't talk at me, talk with me. Let's have a conversation. So what does that mean? And the best example I can provide you, if you've ever called sometimes organizations or you needed help and you reached out to a company and you could tell the person on the other line was just sort of going through the motions. They sort of couldn't wait for you to get off the phones, right? They were just talking at you. But when somebody is engaged, involved, committed to the conversation, they're talking with you. Tell us the story. Make it so we believe this is what you want to do, but you've got to know it because you've got to own it during the interview. You've got to be able to tell your story, your journey, and why you're pursuing this type of a career. And I think it also ties into that that leaving a first impression. You know, we always hear about that when you meet somebody during a virtual elevator pitch, or, you know, when you're talking with somebody over the phone for the first time, you want them to walk away with a good impression of you. Say, okay, I can work with that person. I can see them as part of our team. Don't leave a first impression, positive impression. Leave a first positive, memorable impression. Make them want to move forward. It's critical. It's important. And we'll talk a little bit later about where you may have that opportunity to do that. Bruce?
You know, thank you, Glenn. All good things. And, you know, a couple of points I'll just encourage our students and our audience. You know, you're hearing every day stories about this, so many jobs available, you know, 10 million open jobs. And, you know, there's a term that's floating around now called the Great Resignation. You know, everybody's just getting up and walking out, doing their own thing or whatever. But I will encourage you, do not relax. It is not over till it's over, as the old saying goes. All right. The great companies have great candidate pools. And so these things are very important to consider, building a strategic presentation for yourself so that you can get that interview. You know, we've already participated in some in-person career fairs. You know, they're coming back. And so your whole presentation, both on paper and in person and in virtuality, are critical to your success. So work on that. Invest your time in building your career brand. So some other tips and techniques. It goes without saying, and you even heard our interns today talk about use your network, but we believe it's not only to use your network to find the opportunities, but to use your network to win the opportunities. Then what does that mean? That means before the interview, find out as much as you can about the person you're going to interview with, the company you're going to interview with, the history of the organization. Is this the first time they've ever had an internship? Or have they been doing it for many, many years? Ask your fellow students, hey, did you interview with that guy, Bruce? You know, yeah, I did. Well, what's he like? Is he serious? Is he lighthearted? Is he fun? I mean, what should I be prepared for? This is just good research and good reconnaissance. And so now's the time before you get into that interview to use all your resources, and your network can serve you well here to help you prepare yourself. You may still have, and I hear it all the time, the first interview be across a phone. Yeah, I mean, you know, Zoom's out there big time, and, you know, the first or the second may be a Zoom, but there is still a lot of recruiters that are doing what we call phone screens. And they'll schedule a 15, 20, 30-minute maybe phone conversation with you. Be prepared for that. Now, what does that mean? That means you've got to be prepared with the same ability to answer questions, to research. Okay, what are they going to ask me? Why? They're going to hit you with the big stuff. Why do you want to work for us? Why'd you major in this field? What makes you think you're a great candidate for us? You know, they may hit you with some really big, hard ones. So prepare for that. And preparing for a phone interview means preparing your environment, just like in a virtual environment like this, right? You know, the RBFCU guys have a very classy blue background. You know, I have my bridge background because I tell people, I coach students on building a bridge to your career. What am I going to see and hear? I'm not going to see, but what am I going to hear in a phone interview? That means private room, kick the roommate out, kick the dogs and the cats out, whatever, no interruptions, right? Voicemail. What does your voicemail say? What does your outbound message say right now? If I called each one of you, what would I get? I bet the overwhelming majority, I would hear that canned message that comes with your phone. You know, the computer voice that says, thank you for calling. You've reached 512, blah, blah, blah. Recruiters want to hear that it's you. And here we have a poll question for your answers. So when a recruiter calls you after applying, what is the main purpose for their call? Okay, let's do this poll.
All
Yep,
right, here we go. We got some good answers coming in. Make sure you select. There's no wrong answers, and you know, it's all anonymous, so feel free to select what you think.
right.
All right, we'll give it 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
All
There
right,
we
let's
go.
see. To get to know, I guess to get to know you, right? Know what we
Yeah.
meant? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, you know, that's it. Because this is a tough job. You know, we got to pick the right person for the position. And so the more we know about you, the better. And that phone interview may be the first line of interaction that you have. But we were talking about voicemail too. You know, make sure your voicemail's got your voice. I mean, that's why they call it voicemail. They don't say computer mail, right? Here's another good poll question. If your voicemail is not your voice, upbeat, positive, and professional, how often would a recruiter call back? What do y'all think?
Okay, we got some results coming in. Again, it's all anonymous. We're just learning
Right.
here. So let's see. Give it a few more seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see what we got. All right.
Yeah. 25, 0 to 25. And that's right. And it's probably going to be closer to the 0 than the 25% chance.
Yeah.
You know, we need to hear that it's you.
Yep.
And I have had students tell me that they have lost opportunities because they either didn't return the voicemail or they didn't get the voicemail. And when they went to follow up on the application, they said, well, I called, but I didn't know if it was you or not. I wasn't going to leave an anonymous message. So get it set up. Doesn't have to be exotic. You don't want it cutesy, just good, clear, state your name. Thank you for calling. I'm sorry I can't take your phone call right now, but I will call you back just as soon as possible. Like the poll question said, upbeat, positive, enthusiastic. Now, once you get that interview, because you will, because you attended today and you've listening to all our tips and techniques, all right? Once you get that interview, you interview for the position that you're there for. It's okay to be, you know, show initiative and things like that. But right now, it's not about you being vice president. It's about you being the great customer service rep. It's about you filling the spot that you have applied for. And because that's what they're interviewing you for. I mean, if they didn't think you had potential, if they didn't think you could be a really good fit for their organization, you probably wouldn't have had the interview. So stay focused on the position that you're interviewing for at the time.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Glenn, if you want to add some there.
Yeah, you know, these are some of my favorite topics. You know, as somebody who's made thousands of phone calls in my career after looking at applications and resumes, you know, I definitely made phone calls. My purpose of making those phone calls typically was because I wanted to set up an interview. I wanted to bring somebody in for an interview. But I didn't have to. That's the same thing with so many recruiters out there. They look at the candidates, they determine who they want to move forward with, and they're going to call. Their hope is to set up an interview, but again, they don't have to. So you've got to be prepared for that interview. You've got to be ready to tell your story, own your application, your resume. Now, again, that voicemail, I have had numerous conversations with transitioning service members, but also college students, the students that are looking to make that transition, some that have been in HR, some that have been in marketing and communications. And when I ask this question, you know, if a recruiter were to call you right now and you're not going to pick up the phone because you're going through this conversation, it rolls to your voicemail. What does your voicemail sound like? Many times, well, I'm not sure. I don't have it set up. Oh, it's the generic one. So Bruce and I, for the students, we challenge each of you to listen to your voicemail. Listen to your voicemail. If you have your own voice, we're going to challenge you to make it better. If it's not set up, we need you to set it up today. If it's the generic one, just like Bruce said, make it your voice. Make it your voice. Have fun with it. Record it. Listen to it. But when you listen to it, this is something we want you to do. Put yourself in the position of a recruiter or hiring manager. Did you do enough to make us want to call you back? Listen to, if you're thinking about somebody who wants to maybe talk with our customers, our members, or maybe somebody's getting a degree in communication, what does your voicemail sound like? Hi, this is Glenn. Unfortunately, I'm unable to answer the call at this time. If you'd like, please leave a brief message and I'm going to get back with you just as soon as I can. Thank you for calling. Have fun with it. The other thing we're going to tell you is don't tell your friends and family that you're changing your voicemail if it isn't set up. Why do that? Because if they've called you before and your voicemail hasn't set up, or it's the generic one, but now they hear this new voicemail that says, I'm ready for my new career. I'm ready to take those steps forward. Now, if they like it and they tell you they like it, what do you think about a recruiter and hiring manager? They'll like it even more. Set it up today. Change it. We challenge you to make it better. Right? This is about being a competitive candidate. This is something very simple to do, but it absolutely can make a difference. And I can give you example after example of when we have talked with individuals that said, hey, you know, I've transitioned out of the military or looking for positions and nobody's calling back. But then when I asked that question, they didn't have their voicemail set up. It can be a game changer. Sometimes you only get one chance to leave a first positive, memorable impression. The point about interviewing for the position you're in the room for, I call it a softball question. It's the easiest question to get right, but it more frequently becomes the number one question that candidates get wrong. For a good candidate, we want you to grow. We want you to continue to stay and grow within the organization. Not to get your foot in the door, not to move to a different department, not to maybe stay and then leave and open your own business. We want you to be the best candidate you possibly can be for the position you've applied to. So what we say is step into the role that you've applied to. Don't step over it. The here and now. My career objective is to be the best consumer lending representative that you've hired. So my contributions can be recognized so I can stay and grow within your organization. Easy question to get right. Definitely a question that if you miss it, can make a difference in the recruiter being able to move forward. So again, the here and now. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is be prepared for a virtual interview. So what does that mean? Bruce talked about it a little bit. Minimize the distractions, be unique. Make sure your background it's either blurred out, if you will. Make sure that you're thoughtful about sharing with your friends and family, hey, I'm going to be doing an interview. Show the initiative. Maybe you have some questions already prepared that you can share with them. Maybe you have your resume available in a file or available to share. I think these are things preparing. Usually about this time, when I say be prepared for a virtual interview, usually my doorbell rings and somebody's trying to deliver something for me. I've had this happen several times, but not my family members. They know that I'm doing a virtual presentation, but do as much. Check your audio, your video. You know, you can also practice. Today, you can, maybe send an invite to one of your friends or family members, a Zoom invite. And so practice your interview technique and style during that profile, if you will, or maybe even work with your career service centers. They definitely have resources set up. Bruce, if I'm correct, we actually did a presentation yesterday with UIW, and they have those type of video resources available where you can practice. It makes it easier for you, but it also makes it easier for you to make a connection during the interview. The other thing I say is when you're getting ready for that virtual interview, just like your elevator pitch, break the ice. Say hello first. I'm pretty sure, Bruce, if you and I are on an elevator and a candidate walked in the door, I think we're talking, right? I think we're definitely talking, but break the ice first. It shows the initiative. when that virtual interview ends, please take time to say thank you. Sometimes it makes a difference. If nobody else is doing it, maybe the person that interviewed before you didn't do it and the one that's interviewing after you didn't do it and you did, maybe that's what it takes to move forward in the interview process. Always have interview questions prepared. Critical. It shows that you're engaged, committed to the interview process. Again, it gives you an opportunity to show the recruiter, hiring manager that you've done your research, that you're able to bring up a few nuggets of information that you've gathered. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to allow the recruiter and hiring manager to continue to sell you on the organization. Can you tell me a little bit more about the training that's involved? Can you tell me a little bit more about the team, what that looks like? Can you tell me a little bit more about why you enjoy working for the institution? And for me, I love, what does the culture mean to you at RBFCU? Also benefits. Can you tell me a little bit more about the wonderful benefits your company offers? I guarantee I want to tell you about the wonderful benefits that RBFCU offers: medical, dental, vision from day one. A wonderful 401k plan. You can put in 4%, RBFCU will put in another 8% on top of your 4%. If you put in 6%, we'll put in 10% on top of your 6. A health and wellness program, biometric screening that reduces your healthcare premiums. Significant paid time off. In the course of a year, if you're a full-time employee and you've worked the whole year and didn't take any time off, you would have earned about 22.5 days of paid time off you can use for sick time or vacation. I've never used 4.5 weeks of vacation in my entire career. So at some organizations, if you don't use it, you lose it. With us, it rolls over and you can accrue up to 600 hours. So again, give them a chance to talk about the wonderful benefits the organization offers, because the compensation, the salary, your annual compensation, that's not the whole picture. It definitely is not the whole picture with RBFCU. It's a package. It definitely is a package. When interviewing, practice with your friends and family. There's interview questions all the time out there. Bruce and I, we talk about them all the time. The interview, the first questions they ask are going to be important, right? Because they know the tone and inflection of your voice. They know when you're just going through the motions, or when you really are sincere and you're really giving it the effort. They know by the tone and inflection of your voice. Be real. Because when you're real in an interview, you're believable. It definitely helps to move the process forward. Bruce?
No, absolutely. All great points. And, thank you for sharing those insights. I mean, I know Glenn often will share with you, he's interviewed a lot of people, but he's interviewed a lot that didn't make it either. And so he knows what it takes to get across that finish line. So where to look? Where do I go? I call it go shopping. Let's talk about where to look for your new career path here. How many times have you heard about LinkedIn? Well, that's because it works. I mean, that is a phenomenal platform today, getting stronger all the time. I call it a mutual platform, a mutual because you both use it to build your network, but you also use it and to find opportunities. Okay. Your LinkedIn profile should be top notch. I mean, recruiters, people looking for talent, that's where they're going. You can hardly pick up any kind of career publication without hearing about the popularity of LinkedIn. It's not a one and done thing. It's going to be something that grows with you as your experience grows, as your background broadens, as your volunteer activities expand, as your participation in student organizations evolves. I mean, all those things. So when we say build it, we really mean build the content of it. I mean, the design is important, and you've got a lot of resources on your campuses that can help you with that, but you got to be the one to build it. And that means go out and get the stuff to put in it, the experiences, the volunteer, the student orgs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And so how do I know what to put in? How do I know where to go to decide on what I should be focused on? Well, that goes way back to the beginning when we talked about the job description. Know the company, know the job, know the business sector, do your research, sell people what they want, not what you think they need. And LinkedIn is a wonderful platform for you to do that with. USA Jobs, I think I'm safe in saying just about any government position requires you to apply through USA Jobs. Federal, I know for sure. I guess probably not state, but USA Jobs is it's kind of a project in itself. It's a little bit hairy, a little bit complicated, but it's okay. You want to make sure you know how to use it and apply for those opportunities through it. A lot of people forget about just their own workforce commission. We're very fortunate here in Texas to have a strong Texas Workforce Commission. I mean, really, really powerful organization, got a lot of offices. They have a job board they call Work in Texas. So check that out, Work in Texas, and you can find all kinds of opportunities there. There's some sleepers in there. Now, I've had some students find some pretty cool internships by going into that. Handshake. Most, if not all, the schools represented today in the call are registered users of Handshake. Your own college job board runs on that platform. And that is, it's kind of built like LinkedIn. You'll see a lot of similarity in it. What do I do here? I go in and build my profile out. You need to build a complete profile on Handshake, A to Z, soup to nuts. You know, you don't just want your name and your classification in there. Load it up with your resume, with your accomplishments, with your skills, with your academics, your GPA, everything. Get on there and fulfill all the spots, fill out all the spots in your Handshake profile, because employers can go in and find you. Employers can go in and search and find you on your college job board Handshake platform. So you want to be ready. You want to be found. It's just good marketing, right? My colleagues tease me about this, but I have a saying that says, it doesn't matter how good your bananas are if I can't find your store. So remember that metaphor. You may be the best candidate for the position, but if I can't find you, if I can't get to you, I'm not gonna call you. Okay, Indeed, Glassdoor. There's a bunch of others. I mean, I've got a 2-page list I use with my students. Both of those two platforms we're showing here are really, really good. Glassdoor for students. Look that up. Glassdoor for students. It's basically a really easy to use job board where you just put in the job title and it helps you because it'll give you an immediate drop down menu with suggestions about the title. And so one of the things to consider in today's environment is that there's some new jobs out there that weren't there before. And there's plenty of jobs there that have, you know, same old titles, but it helps you. It will tip you off to say, is this what you're looking for?
Yeah.
And you may go, oh yeah, you know what? I didn't know it was called that now. So Glassdoor for students. And you put in the city, just the job title and the city, and boom, it goes out and it sweeps their whole platform and it brings all the opportunities up. So not only is that valuable for you to find the job or the internship, but the big value comes in building awareness of what? The skills that employers want you to have. There are job descriptions there. There it is. Like Glenn and I say, that's the answers to the test, guys. They're telling you right there what they want you to have to be a successful candidate. We're teaching you how to be a competitive candidate, but you got to have the stuff first. If you don't have it, go get it. Fill in the blanks. Okay. Job fairs coming back strong. Texas State had in-person job fairs. A lot of campuses are back in in-person job fairs, but virtual is not going to go away. It's still around. It's going to be hybrid all the way, both. But get in the game, get in it. You may say, oh, I'm a junior. I'm not worried about that yet. No, now's the time. to build awareness, to build your network, to build connections, to build knowledge, to build awareness of, what they want you to have. You don't want to wait till you get to the end of the road, i.e. graduation, to find out you were on the wrong road. Do that now. And of course, rbfcu.org/careers. I mean, if you guys aren't all over that job board that after hearing these fantastic stories, holy cow, what a great place to work.
Thank you,
Glenn?
Bruce. Oh, absolutely. Bruce, thank you so much. Every time I hear you speak, I just am so appreciative of the support you offer the RBFCU team and students. And I know you've been doing it for many years. Just a few things I wanted to share. LinkedIn absolutely is a great website to find out what the organization is doing, to connect, to build your network. You can actually look and search out employment opportunities based on what you're looking for. LinkedIn will then start sending you positions that they feel you may be the best fit. USA Jobs, definitely for government employment opportunities. The workforce commissions in our local area, I'll always be grateful because that's where I found, located, and applied for my position here at RBFCU. So I'm always grateful. You can definitely find fantastic jobs there. Handshake is great. So recruiters, they will, especially before a career fair, they'll put in the positions they're recruiting for. I'm also going to tell you one of the things I've enjoyed about Handshake is they do have a virtual job fair platform, which is fantastic. And one of the things I'm noticing as well, so students, please, when you go to Handshake and you're attending maybe it's a group informational session that employer is presenting, there's a way for you to communicate. You can say, remember that thank you, how important that is. Maybe if others aren't doing it, I am finding through the virtual career fairs that I'm participating in, more students are getting more adept to using the Handshake platform and sending correspondence. I think it's a great tool. I would encourage you to do it, no doubt about it. Indeed.com, Glassdoor, great websites. Indeed, I like to talk a little bit about when you go to the Indeed website, most, if not all of the positions are Indeed.com are sort of scraped from the applicant tracking systems that employers have. So they're typically on Indeed for free. I would take a look at those that are out there that are just posted. You'll see how quickly or how long ago the position was posted, but also if the position's sponsored. That could be advantageous to you because the employer is saying, I need to fill this position, and they're working with Indeed to make sure it's featured. Virtual career fairs, in-person career fairs, whichever one you attend. One of the things you shouldn't do is when you engage with the employer is to walk up to the booth, either virtual in person, and say this: what types of positions are you recruiting for? You should know that. You should have done your research. You should have gone to that table because they have a role and responsibility that you're interested in. More than that, if you know they're going to be there to be a more competitive candidate, you should have already applied. And so the conversation becomes a little different. Instead of what are you recruiting for, it's, hi, I noticed that you were going to be here. I went to your website. I saw that you had the consumer lending representative or the member services position or the mortgage position or the IT position already on your website. I've already applied for that position. Can you tell me a little bit more about the role and responsibility? Think about that. You just became the most competitive candidate who is already in the system. The resume is already there for them to review. Not only that, they know you truly are interested in the organization. So again, don't walk up and say, what are you recruiting for? Let them know you've already gone to the website. I've applied. Tell me more about the company and the position. And then, thank you, Bruce, rbfcu.org. Definitely, we have many positions out there. We've continued to recruit and hire through this challenging virtual environment through the pandemic. We, in fact, if the students go to the website, we have positions that we are currently featuring. Some offer sign-on bonuses and also additional bonuses when you complete certain segments for training, and then ultimately when you complete training. So please take a look at those websites and the RBFCU website. If you are interested in positions with RBFCU, At the end of this presentation, you'll see my contact information. You're more than welcome to put me down as somebody that you know at RBFCU. But again, take a look at the wonderful positions that we have available within all of those departments that we have just featured today. And I'll go to the next slide here. So we talked about some virtual upcoming events. What I always say is definitely go to Handshake. Look at some of the college student and alumni career services events. They're always hosting, promoting events out there. Eventbrite is another virtual platform that features virtual events. You can also see in-person events. They typically are based on the communities within San Antonio or Austin, so you can see their different areas. Career Echo is another virtual platform where you can see events that are coming up. Brazen Premier Virtual Career Fairs is definitely one of those similar virtual platforms. Many of these, I do have to say, in the last 2 years, when it seems as though there weren't any virtual career platforms, there are so many today. I am going to say that many of them are getting better. They're working on making the interaction between the recruiter, the organization in their virtual career booth that much better. But again, if you're going to the booth of these recruiters, hiring managers, RBFCU's virtual booth, break the ice first. Say hello. Tell us your story. Do your virtual elevator pitch. It can make a difference. But again, just a few virtual events and some of the platforms there being used. Bruce, let's talk a little bit about the applicant tracking systems and how to maximize those.
Absolutely. Go ahead and jump to the next screen. Applicant tracking systems, ATSs. You may hear that term, you may not, but I tell you what, more and more companies and organizations are using this. So Glenn, how do we maximize students' ability to conquer this system?
There's no doubt about it. I mean, whenever you're going to Indeed.com or I would specifically say Indeed.com, and you click on the link, it takes you typically to the applicant tracking system of the employer. RBFCU uses a applicant tracking system called Workday. Many organizations within San Antonio use Workday, if you will. So when you go to our applicant tracking system, our website, rbfcu.org/careers, you click on it, you'll see this wonderful link that talks about joining our team. There's a fantastic banner, you click on it, and then you'll see all the positions that are posted. So you got to visit the website and you've got to make sure you revisit, if you will. So here's how you maximize it. Make sure your application and your cover letter are ready to go. Apply early. I think the earlier you apply, I want to say it could potentially heighten your chances of definitely, we look at all the applications, but of moving to that next round in the process. The other thing is sometimes you'll see more than one position posted that you may be interested in. Sometimes you may see two of the same positions posted. So what do? You apply to both. You apply to each. We can only consider you for those positions you apply to. We don't say we're going to hold your resume or application and then we're going to submit you for another position. No, you manage that process. So again, if you see two of the same positions, apply to both. One of the things you'll see is also how long ago the position was posted. Again, that'll help you to apply early. But let's say that you come back to the website and you see, oh, wait a second, there's another one of the same positions I've applied to. Apply to the new one. So you manage that process. We definitely get quite busy, but again, you manage the process and we consider you for those positions that you've applied to. Make sure you review the application for completeness and accuracy. You know, even the cover letter. I definitely have seen resumes and applications where somebody put in their career objective that they were excited to offer their application and resume, and it wasn't even for RBFCU, it was for another company. Again, take the time. Don't let that weed you out of the process. And again, we've already talked about revisit employer websites frequently. We're adding and we're growing. There's no doubt about it. And I know we'll cover a little bit about, you know, what the employment market looks like at this time. So utilize these tips to, again, be a more competitive candidate. Be ready, apply early, get your application in there. So Bruce, tell us a little bit about the current employment market.
The employment market is definitely strong. I mean, as you've heard us already say this afternoon, it's probably the largest number of job openings in decades. People were waiting until they got on the other side of some of this pandemic situation to make some career moves, some career switches. So, any type of disruption in a market brings opportunity. I used to be a commodities trader in oil, and when prices are flat, you can't make any money. You can't make a margin. So it's a good thing right now that we've got this disruption into the employment market, because you can capitalize on that. People will be moving and changing and shifting. Well, that means they're going to be leaving behind spots. Now, not all those positions are going to be available to you, because if you're a traditional student, you may be looking at an entry-level position or an internship, or if not, you may be looking for an experienced hire. But regardless, please dedicate the time to learn the market, because it's truly a situation of supply and demand. Yeah, there's some really cool jobs openings and internships and things like that, but it is still competitive now. Don't relax. Don't think, oh, well, gosh, I mean, they're just dying for somebody. I don't really have to put much work into a resume. I just need to put something together and send it to them. You won't get the call. You won't get the opportunity.
No doubt about it. I'm sorry, Bruce, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Clint. Proceed.
Yeah, I was just gonna tie in, the time is now. Don't wait. There's definitely great opportunities available. Bruce, I know, 2.5 years ago, unemployment was 2.7 to 3.2%. And during the midst of the pandemic, I want to say it got over 13%. We have seen it gradually start to come down. I think the most recent figure, if I'm not mistaken, in the San Antonio, New Braunfels area was about 4.5%. So it is definitely better. But there are more jobs out there than ever before. Just drive around and look.
Yeah.
Drive around and look. But to Bruce's point, you still have to make sure that you are honoring the interview and the application process, making sure that you leave that first positive, memorable impression. You've got a chance here, I believe, to really get a great kickstart on your career, not your foot in the door, but a foot on the ladder of growth and opportunity. This is a wonderful time. And to those students that are here with us today, and those that are going to be viewing the video at a later time, these are great tips, I believe, that will help you in when the unemployment rate is very low or it is higher. So these are things that we're hoping you can engage in and really move forward and ultimately be that most competitive candidate. So Misty, are there any questions for us?
Yeah, I actually just put in the chat. If anyone has any, they can include in the chat. But also, again, feel free to unmute and ask your questions live as well. So great. Thank you all so much for all you've shared. It's really awesome advice and wisdom, of course. So let's see. Anyone, just feel free to unmute. Go for it.
I did have a couple of questions. So can you guys maybe share what are a few common mistakes you see applicants doing in like their resumes or interviews that might deter them from getting a position?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I'll go first and Glenn can jump in. One of the biggest, I guess, mistakes is the resume has not been designed to match the job description. So it's like, don't misunderstand. We know your student, typically if you're a traditional student, you've had like 2 or 3 jobs, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? But you still want to dedicate an effort to saying, okay, how and what have I done in the past to prepare me for the future? And so, a resume is not a diary. A resume is a sales document. A resume is not a confession. It's a document that, of course, you never lie about anything, okay? But you tell me what I need to know to know that you're the best candidate for the job. And so I've seen resumes sometimes that are just, like I said, a diary. Okay, here's everything I've done. I'm really hoping you'll figure out that I might be able to work for you. Does that make sense? So you know, we can't emphasize enough the importance of being as strategic as you can. And it is what it is. You know, like I said, we know you've had a variety of jobs, but use the job description vocabulary, use their words, make sure you put measurement, quantification, results in there, right? Doesn't matter how good you think you've done if you can't measure it and you can't share with me. So try for that, dig for that, and put that in the resume because that's your one piece of paper to say, I'm worth your time to call me, to interview me, to explore an opportunity. Glenn?
Absolutely, Bruce. You know, I think when I look back at resumes, and again, I've been fortunate to recruit and hire for two wonderful large companies, probably thousands of individuals I've helped to hire or been part of the process. But again, I've turned down 10 times more people than I've hired. So looking at resumes, one of the things that I've always wanted to do, because the time is fleeting when you're trying to recruit and hire and fill positions, is I want to know that the individual is engaged in the process. I want to know that they've done their research. I want to know that they've taken initiative to get my attention at the very top of the resume. So that's why I teach career objective. I like to look at resumes, but not everybody does. So get my attention at the top. And somebody says, well, if I put career objective, that's going to move everything down, and then it's going to go to 2 pages, maybe more. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, because if you've got my attention at the very top, I'm going to keep reading. And if you put the name of the position in the company, I'm thinking, okay, you just made my job just a little bit easier. Now let's take a look at the rest. And then I think some of the other things is that interview. It's your opportunity to really make a connection with the recruiter. There is something magical, I have to tell you, in an interview when you realize that the person that you're talking with is truly interested and is a fantastic candidate. We want to move that process forward. But then on the other hand, if somebody walks in and you ask them that question, what's your career objective? Okay, I'm going to use the consumer lending. They say, I'm going to be it's to get this job. My career objective based on the resume and the requirements, I meet those qualifications, but I want to be the best consumer lending representative you've ever hired. And the next candidate comes in and says, well, my career objective is to get my foot in the door. My career objective is to move on, not in the role. My career objective is to be the manager, director, supervisor. I want that for you. Never take your eye off your goals, but help me help you get in first. That's, I think sometimes people just get a little ahead of themselves, and we want that. But a good recruiter, hiring manager knows if we hire the right person, that's in front of them. But help us help you get in, the here and the now.
Hey, Glenn, speaking of getting in, there's a couple of questions that came in about internships.
Thank you.
So specifically for MBA and for information technology, wanting to know more about the summer 2022 program. So can you mind sharing some of that?
Absolutely. So similar to what Chandler has and Josue has talked about. So the IT department actually was one of the very first departments that helped us to launch our internship program probably 6 or 7 years ago. My understanding that the IT and the admin IT positions internships will continue through 2022. Typically what we do is we post them early May, maybe a little bit before that. So we bring our interns on towards the end of May. It's a 12-week program. And again, we're hoping that we can move everything again back to in-person, as Ashley indicated. And one of the reasons why is we want you to have a mentor within the organization. We do career development and skills training throughout the internship as well. And then we look for community initiatives and fun activities to support. So that's what we're looking for. So if you were to join RBFCU in that internship program, you would be assigned a mentor, as Chandler was, and Josue was also assigned a mentor as well. They work with you every single day. They check in with you, and then they get the mentor involved most of the fun events that we have is not only with the other interns, but those that are supporting you through the internship program. Just one last thing, since they asked that question, one of my fondest memories of the internship program in 2020 is we hosted a end of internship celebration at the Randolph Brooks campus. We're fortunate to have a wonderful sports court. We cooked hamburgers and hot dogs. We had a salsa contest, not the dancing, but the salsa chips and dips, if you will. But it was a great opportunity for us to work together. So we do envision that program being rolled out very similar, but we've also, there's some other ideas that I have to continue to grow the program, and that's what I'm grateful to do. Thank you for the question.
Not other questions coming in, just some things that, thank you, Charles, for helping Mike to answer that too. And just when will internships be posted, which we talked about will be in the spring for that. So I just have to keep an eye out on the website for that.
And then I did have another question. So for a lot of recruiting events that I've gone to, it's usually like HR and maybe like lower level managers that are participating in the events. But here at this event, I noticed it's a lot of VPs in different departments. And so I was wondering why you guys felt it was so important to have VPs come in and speak to us as opposed to maybe strictly HR, strictly recruiting.
Well, I think that's a great question. So Ashley and I are in HR, but it shows the commitment of the whole team. We interview with them all the time. Charles and I have done many interviews. Diane and I have done many interviews. And I think the important thing is to share the culture of RBFCU and how we all work together to really support our members, but to support each other. And, you know, it's interesting. They, whenever we reach out to them, they are always right there and ready to help out. Thank you. I love that question. And hopefully you got a sense of the tenure of those that are with us from 28 years to 26 years. I will tell you, I'm grateful for 12 years. It has gone by so quickly, if you will, but it starts from the very top, and we all are committed to letting those know that we're here to help in any way we possibly can. Thank you. Great question. Anything else?
But one of our participants, Mike, he is just having some trouble. He applies for a lot of positions in his resume and feels like there's a lot of competition out there. I know what you were previously sharing about your tailoring your resume and things like that. What other suggestions might you give besides just tailoring the resume for someone? I was thinking about networking opportunities and things like this, because now he has direct connection to the VP of HR, right? So do you have any suggestions along those lines?
Well, first, I'd like to offer my assistance. If Mike would, at the end, the very last slide is going to be my email. He is more than welcome to connect with me. I'd love to take a look at his resume and give him some recommendations and suggestions. I know Bruce and I do this. He does that at Texas State all the time, and it's my role. You know, I've hired so many, but I've turned down so many as well. My goal in this presentation is to help you to be that competitive candidate, and maybe to do a mock interview or two. I'm open to do that, but that would be my recommendation. Reach out to me. Let's talk offline, and let's see if we can help him to find that new role and responsibility. Let's get him on that career path. Okay, so Misty, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was like, I think
we're
right at time. Yeah.
I was going to say with that, and in closing, Bruce, did you want to say, did you have any other closing words, sir?
No, thank you. Thank you, Glenn. We're good wrap up. I think we're in good shape here. Let's take it home.
So with that, thank you so much, Bruce. And I just, to the students, you know, we always end with this slide, our guarantee to you. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that once you incorporate the things that Bruce and Misty and I have shared with you and the rest of the RBFCU team, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get that next job. We can't be in that interview with you. We'd love to. I love interviewing. But here's our guarantee. If you do incorporate the email, the voicemail, if you do tailor your resume to the position that you're applying to and the requirements, if you do input the career objective, if you interview for the position you're in the room for, not the next, if you let us know that you are truly interested and you've done your research on the company or companies, we hope it's RBFCU, but maybe it's not. Our guarantee you is if you incorporate some of these ideas, you will be a more competitive candidate. That's our commitment and our guarantee to you. We have seen it work with friends and family and so many that we've supported in the community. I know we're here to help in any way we possibly can. My door is always open. And for any of the students that are here and have participated, I welcome you to reach out to me. I'd be glad to help out in any way I can. If you've applied to a position at RBFCU, you can definitely put me down as somebody you know, but then you've got to take those steps forward. You've got to interview for the position you're in the room for, change your resume, upload a cover letter. I think those things will be important. So our guarantee to you is we're here to continue to help. And we can't thank you enough for your participation in this event. For those that may see this in a video later, please reach out to us. We're grateful. Congratulations on your wonderful career path. We are honored to work with Texas A&M San Antonio and the STAC organization, Mr. Howard. RBFCU, it's very simple. The reason I love the culture of RBFCU, there's just a few short words, and they allow me to do this every day. It's just people helping people. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll go to the next slide, which is, we wish you much success in achieving your academic and exciting career goals. When you get that job, and you will, keep your star rising. Keep the growth, keep that career path moving forward. And here is our contact information. Please contact us. We are here to help. Again, my name is Glenn Erholt. I'm with RBFC Human Resources. There's my phone number and also my email address, gerholt@rbfcu.org. Mr. Howard?
There sure is. There's me, B. Howard, 1925. Somebody said the other day, 1925, God, you don't look that old.
Sorry, I didn't quite.
And I said, I'm not that old.
Thank you, Bruce.
I know. Hey, yeah, you got to end on a little bit of a giggle.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much, Misty. We appreciate you moderating and supporting this event. Bruce, we appreciate your partnership on to our next event. And to the students in person and watching later, please reach out to us. We'd love to tell you about RBFCU and all the wonderful opportunities that are available. Keep your star rising. Be that competitive candidate. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.